Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you? Hey, everybody, it's Neal Brennan. It's a Blocks podcast. We heal the earth, et cetera, et cetera. My guest today, I looked it up. I've known for 14 years. Pretty good. Feels longer. No judgment. 14 years. When I met him, he was merely the NBA Rookie of the Year.
He's the first unanimous winner. Yes, he was a unanimous winner of the Rookie of the Year award in over 10 years.
Lob at the rim to Blake Griffin. He unleashes a fury.
He went on to become All-NBA twice? 3 times?
5 times.
What? Let's start over, guys. I got the wrong guy, apparently.
I didn't know if this was a talking plot, like a talking intro.
You shut the fuck up until...
Right, 5 times.
5-time All-NBA, and I believe he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He'll run his speech by me. I'll give him notes. He'll ignore them. And he's the new Red Lobster spokesman, which nobody saw coming.
I make Red Lobster famous. And
he's about to be on the Amazon pre-game, post-game team with Dirk Nowitzki, and he's basically a retired NBA player, and now he's a full-time announcer, and he's a buddy of mine, and his name is Blake Griffin. Yay! We never did figure out how to introduce people.
Thank you. I didn't know if I was supposed to be quiet.
No, it's fun. It's fun when people intercede. All right. Well, Here's a question I have. Having spoken to you for a long time about just your life and being an NBA player, were you happy when your life changed from being full-time NBA player to being retired and having a lot more free time? And it seemed like you may have enjoyed the more anonymity.
Yes, I consider myself. It's actually a question that I get all the time, and they're always like a little bit weird about that question. They're like, "Oh yeah, like how you enjoying?"
Well, it's like a death. Like, oh, your fame died.
See, I because that was like not what it was for me. I looked at it as like, this is awesome. This is like a whole new life that I have never experienced. Like I've never.
Because the truth is, you're good at basketball, which is very valuable anywhere, let alone Oklahoma, where they got nothing going on. But you're good from 8th grade?
Yeah, I mean, I played basketball my whole life. I don't know when I was like good, but like it became very, very serious for me. Yeah, like 8th, 9th grade.
But I'm saying you get a lot of status from it.
Yeah. 8th grade, 9th grade, like started to get more. I always tell people like, you just like high school, you become sort of like a local city, like you name, and then you become a state name, and then you go to college, and people know you in college, and you just sort of keep like growing in that. Like I didn't have like an overnight thing. Like maybe when it came to the NBA, you become more of a name globally, but like. It came in increments for me, so it was like
there was never a moment where you're like, okay, this is that was a very big jump that was hard to deal with.
They're not like hard to deal with. I do remember my rookie year, we played against the Knicks, and I had like 2 or 3 dunks that kind of went like viral back when Twitter was young. And I remember that was kind of like a time where I was like, wow, it's never really slowed down since then, and it just went like to the moon. But like I said, I was sort of prepared for it. Like I'd been prepared for it since like my 9th grade year. You know, when you start to get a little bit of that, and you learn how to handle it at each level. So it's always interesting for me because I always think about people who just overnight, they become famous and it's just like overwhelming. I don't really have that. Right?
What do you think most of it is? Gauging people's reactions, meaning. I always find fame to be like you're just trying to calm people down a little bit, where you're like, "Hey, no, it's fine."
Yeah.
No, it's
yeah.
I'm regular.
Sometimes I'll be like, "Shh."
Yeah.
You're in like a public, like a crowded place, and somebody's like, "Oh my god!" You're like, "Shh."
Yeah.
I got you.
I remember Chappelle saw Bill Murray. Chappelle wasn't famous, and he saw Bill Murray on the street in like 1992 or something, and Chappelle was like, "Oh," and Bill Murray just goes,
"Yeah." Yeah.
And just like ducked in.
That's like one thing I was thinking about because I just loved basketball. Like, and the NBA, I was a massive college basketball fan. I grew up in Oklahoma. No NBA teams. There was no league pass back then. There was no social media. Like I couldn't follow all these But I knew Michael Jordan. You know all the biggest ones. You just know the national TV games.
Yeah.
So the NBA was never like. Of course, I wanted to play in the NBA, but it was never like this thing where I was like, man, that's got to be awesome. Like people know. Like I just wanted to play basketball, and like as time goes on, like you sort of adjust to that and you get used to like all these things. But that's why like when I retired, it was just so like I'm so happy, and I played 14 years. I played 2 years in college. Like after 16 years of high level competitive basketball, like it was time. And I like remember seeing like some of these young kids come in.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the bench one time, and one of our young rookies when I was in Brooklyn, I was just like talking to him. I was like, when did you really fall in love with the game? Like that's like kind of a thing that happens.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, honestly, it was when I was like 9 or 8. I was watching you with the Clippers, and I was like, oh. He goes, man, I had your jersey. I changed my number to your number, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I am.
Oh, I have to retire.
I am old.
No wonder my knees hurt so badly.
It was just like a sobering moment for me. It was. I was like, oh man, thank you. That means a lot. But like in the back of my mind, I was just like, oh my gosh, I am like. And I watch these young kids play, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I've overstayed my welcome.
Yeah,
I can't keep up.
Yeah, so you don't. It doesn't feel like. I think I used to tell you that it's like it's like a car. When you drive a car off the lot, its value goes down automatically. So it's like the minute you take a jersey off, you're like now from being like on an active roster to now. But the truth is probably a lot of people don't even know you're retired.
Yeah, I mean, I get that question all the time. Oh, you still playing? Who you play for? I'm like, yeah, I'm retired. I'm done. But I just don't look at it that way. Like I don't know. I mean, I also had things to step into to keep me busy. I got 2 kids. I got you know what I mean? Like there was just so much more to life that I was always very excited about. And I did my time, and I don't know. I'm in a good place, and I'm happy with that, and I hope that more guys experience this than they do.
Get a wide, because he's really retired. I mean, this is not a guy who's I mean, look at those loafers.
Yeah, they're boat shoes.
This guy's wearing boat shoes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a fancy UPS.
Yeah. The fanciest, like whatever. Like they deliver very fancy packages.
Yeah. Like
white gloves.
When you're like, sure, do you want insurance on this? And like, oh yes, it's very expensive.
Can I have Blake?
They call me in.
So okay, so that's good. So you don't feel in any way reduced, which is great. You maybe even feel because you still get to keep all the money, and
true.
You're basically committed to a girl, and you're in a committed relationship, and you got kids. So there's no you're not on the prowl in any way anymore.
No, and I have I have some stuff coming up, and I don't know. I feel really good about where I'm at. The fame thing, like that didn't faze me in the least bit. The one thing that I do miss is like I'll be watching a game and like 4 or 2 minutes left, and it's a close game, and it's a great atmosphere. I'm like, oh man, that's fun. But I also wasn't able to play at the level that I was used to playing at, or that I wanted to play at for the last like 2-3 years of my career. So like,
how did you deal with that? Because that's another question I have, which is like, knowing you enough to know that must have driven you fucking crazy.
Yeah, absolutely bananas.
And fucking off the wall, can't sleep for days. What did you tell yourself? Because I also found that your inner monologue was always very positive, at least from as you presented it to me.
Yeah.
How was it? What did it be? Did it stay positive, or did you feel delusional, or did you have to lie to yourself?
No, I think you just like. I mean, I think maybe one of my greatest strengths as a player, or maybe a person, is self-awareness. Like I knew that I wasn't. Like I knew that I could be out there, but like especially Boston, my last year, was like I would sit on the bench at the end of the games. It's like I'm looking at like 2 perennial all-stars, and like we had a great team.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, I should be out there.
Yeah.
Do I think I could help? Yes. But
set a pick here or there.
I'll hustle. I'll dive on the floor. What do you need from me?
Yeah.
I'll get the crowd hype.
Like you'll fall and throw the ball off the guy, that kind of thing. Like really helpful stuff.
Like heady plays.
Yes, the
heady
intangibles.
So like sitting on the on the bench like that, it wasn't really like a dark, or it wasn't like a super sad, at times maybe frustrating, but I just knew that I wasn't at that same level. So my role became different. I became like a locker room guy. I tried to be a mentor to young guys. I tried to have conversations
Lemonade
with coaches.
stand.
Yeah.
Girl Scout
Peanuts,
cookies.
popcorn, hot dogs.
He helped.
I would do whatever, man. You know what I mean? Some nights I was in there closing up the arena.
Yeah.
Because that's just what a role player does. And where's my
Danny, whichever you want. Whichever you most not that one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
What is the arc of realizing your body's not the same?
You just feel it. I mean,
and you wake, whether you wake up or you go to gym or whatever, and you're like, can I jump higher? Couldn't I get more lift? And then you go, it'll come back, and then it just never does.
Yeah, and also some days, like when you got older, like some days I felt great.
Right.
And I could. But like it was like that recovery was so slow, like right, where it was like you felt good 1 out of every 5 days. Where like when I first started playing, it was every day, every second, every hour, every minute. I felt great, and then you don't feel as good as often. And I just kind of like switched into this mode of like, all right, then I'm gonna reinvent myself. Like I sort of did that throughout my career. Like I started shooting more. I started shooting threes, and then I became a hustle guy. I became like a locker room guy, mentor, and like it was all fun, and I enjoyed it, all of it, like all the different facets of it. Like of course I want to go play 38 minutes, but I knew like in my last year, like if I played 38 minutes, like there's a chance you don't see me for a couple days. I might be stuck in bed.
You have to check into rehab.
The team got me life alert.
Did you when you talk about mentoring, is it about playing, or is it about the whole thing? Because that was the thing, seeing your evolution from your rookie year to elder statesman mentor. Were there things you wish you knew, and are those things even teachable? I remember telling you, keep a journal when like maybe your third year on the Clippers, because I could see how interesting it was. And you were probably just like, fucking old man, shut the fuck up.
But this guy talking.
But what's a journal? So
I don't know how to write.
Yeah. So what are you like? What does mentorship in that capacity look like? And then what do you wish you knew?
It's sort of all encompassing. I wish I knew so much more. It is one of those things where even if you tell guys, like I had some older guys really pass down some great wisdom. I had some not so wise older guys also pass down some
what's some not so great wisdom? Not attributing to anybody, but like a thing that sticks out is like, man, that's stupid.
Just like I had a teammate one time tell me like, hey, you go on the road, you have a girl come over, whatever it is, just make sure you like, you just either buy him a handbag or give him some cash or something. I'm like, that doesn't seem
a great relationship.
It actually seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I don't think that's I remember
Get
that.
Get him hooked
that
on
like,
money early.
Yeah, that was like early on. I remember somebody told me that, and I was like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
The good
gift
stuff,
cards.
though.
You were a gift card guy.
Yeah, listen, you want to go to Red Lobster? You want to get a couple cheddar biscuits? Have at it.
Knock yourself out, little lady.
Come on. I'm not a monster.
What happened?
Hey, look in that minibar. Anything you want. Well, I'm not that.
Yeah, not that. Save the Toblerone.
That's for me. That's actually for me.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, I think, though, like you kind of have to just experience it. Like somebody can tell you, like over and over, hey, like think about this, do this, you got to do this. Like I would tell guys like off the court, I'd be like, like start thinking about things you want to do after.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, but just start doing it. I'm so glad that I did that because, like I said, it helped my transition to retirement. And at the end of the like, we will all retire. It's such a short lifespan as a professional athlete. And setting it up beforehand, because like you said, it is so much easier to, if you're interested in photography, it's so easy to to send a DM or get at your agent
Absolutely.
to reach out to somebody. And it's so much easier when it's, hey, so-and-so NBA player wants to do this.
I think I told you that. Like,
take it,
take advantage of it.
Everybody will take a meeting.
Yeah.
And when you retire, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I started these relationships early on. So that's like an example of something I tried to pass down to guys. And then other stuff is on the court too. And sometimes it's just being somebody who, like, a guy comes out of the game, he's frustrated. Sit down next to him, let him vent. And then you just give them like maybe a different perspective, or you get to know guys. Like over the course of my career, I think what I really learned about being a leader is like, you have to first, especially when you first get to a team or you get a new teammate, you have to invest in time to like get to know how they operate, like what makes them laugh. Like maybe one of my strengths was like knowing guys' sense of humor. Right. So like if a guy's frustrated or something, I'm going to let them vent, and then I'm going to figure out, okay, I can say this, or I can say this, or I can, just to break the tension. And that's like part of being a leader, is like investing time in guys, not just
when
being
did you
like
start doing it?
I really started doing it more when I left the Clippers, or maybe sort of when our team sort of with the Clippers sort of broke up and kind of went their separate ways. That's when I sort of took more of a leadership role, because there was a period where I felt like I was a leader, but like it was the same team for the most part. It was Chris Paul, JJ Redick, DeAndre Jordan, Matt Barnes, Jamal Crawford. Yeah. We all just kind of knew each other. We knew how to operate. We were a good team. Never won a championship.
And you and Chris always seem younger than them. You know what I mean?
Me and DeAndre were. Yeah. Like so they're all 4 or 5 years older than us.
So it seemed like who were you going to tell?
Yeah, I mean those guys were all like, I mean, look at Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Jamal Crawford. Like those were like the guys I played with the most. On that team, like we all just kind of had.
They were
our
adults.
Thing. Yeah, adults, families. Like they were already so like locked in that it wasn't really like, we'd have rookies and stuff, but it wasn't quite the same as when I got older.
And then if there's those guys around, you can't really talk to rookies, because it's like, hey, go talk to JJ. He's old. He'll have some good wisdom for you. I don't know anything.
I was like, hey, you just got drafted. Next year you're going to play 38 minutes, and it's just not relatable at all.
Yeah, you're probably rookie of the year. That's what I always wonder about. Like, so you think most of it is just like empathy?
Yeah, empathy, 100%.
You're doing what every girlfriend I've ever had has wanted me to do. And probably you too, which is just listen. But the problems are so much more interesting when they're about basketball. It's so much easier to listen to basketball problems than like emotional problems from their 100%.
Job. I mean, I said it to you a long time ago. I mean, we're like, at the end of the day, like, we're playing a game that was invented to pass the time in school for children. Yes. It's a PE game that blew up. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. So that's also another thing too that I try to like don't think you are just like God's gift to this earth and like you're like above this or you're above that. Like, at the end of the day, like, remember what we're doing. We're playing a game.
But the amount of attention you get for it,
it's hard.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's going to end, and it's hard to believe it's not very important.
Yeah. And like, another thing too about coaching, like, coaching in the NBA is mostly managing egos.
Well, that's what you said one time, that you wouldn't want to coach.
Absolutely not. It sounds awful. The guys who can go coach, I'm so impressed that they're able to like compartmentalize and be able to do all these things. Like, do I think I could go coach? Maybe, but I don't think I'd enjoy it. And guys truly enjoy it.
Why can JJ do it?
I think he's just the way his brain works is
he's got grid brain. I got grid brain. I can see it. Like
he's like very, very analytical. And he's also like, I was playing golf with him a couple years, I think, before he took this job. So maybe a year and a half ago now. And he was like, dude, I got that itch. Like, I got that competitive itch. And I could tell he was like going to take a job sometime in the near future, Because at first I think he was putting it off. And, what's crazy is JJ said to me, we were playing golf, and he was like, what's crazy is like, this might sound a little crazy, but you might not ever like really truly experience like just like full like happiness until you retire. And I was like, wow, that was like, I agreed. Like I agree to this day now, having been retired. I was still playing at the time. And it's not that like we're unhappy by any means.
Well, that's what you saw. Adam Silver said that most players are unhappy.
I think it's a direct result of social media. A lot of players are unhappy. I'm an anxious person myself, he said, joking a little.
That's interesting. I mean, it is so, it's such a roller coaster that like maybe I can see that.
And the life, he was talking about like the isolation of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people don't see a lot of, like on the planes and the hotel rooms and the meetings, you know, like all that is like, can't complain at all. But like that's a little bit more mundane and it's way less glamorous than you think it is, because you also have to get your work in. And like I said, it was not because I wasn't happy, but like, man, like for the first time in your life, especially as an adult, I make my own schedule. I get to do things that I've never done. Like, it was just like very intriguing to me. And
you still act? This feels like you still exercise. When I hugged you, it felt like a man who exercises. Is that true?
I'm a man who exercises. I'll get in the weight room and toss some things.
Are you
around.
still? Do you still lift weights?
I still do.
Why?
For a year I was pretty lazy, and I like would just kind of randomly exercise. But recently I've gotten back on. I'm just better mentally. When I do, and not for nearly as long. My body doesn't hurt anymore. It's just to like get a little movement in.
No more steroids.
Yeah, now I can. now I can.
That's the time do you have any?
I might start.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. I understand that's probably like a hard thing to grasp. Like you're not happy. Like no, we are happy, but it's just like a whole new world that has just been opened up, and it's like it's been really exciting. And
to control your schedule is huge.
So huge.
And you don't have to exercise. You're not in breach of contract, kind of. Or if you don't exercise, you're not going to get your ass whooped by someone in 6 weeks.
Publicly.
Well, maybe.
Publicly.
But,
no, I'm saying
on television.
In front of
absolutely
hundreds of thousands of people.
Correct.
You're just going to get embarrassed because you didn't work out.
Yeah.
I remember I had this thought, like I was maybe 2 months in, and I woke up and I was like, I'd still kind of been working out, and I woke up and I was like, planning on working out, and I was like, I just don't feel like working out to myself. And I was like, oh, I don't have to. Like I can just go about my day. Yeah. And like that too was just like because there's moments like, especially when you're an athlete, like you wake up and you don't want to work out. You don't feel like it, just like everybody else. Yeah. And you just have to. You have to find a way to do it. And the best ones are the ones that find ways to do it, and not only just do it, but like push yourself and get better that day. Yeah. Those are big days, right? Those are big mental days, like where you finish a workout when you didn't want to, and you pushed yourself really hard, and you walk away, and you're like, yeah, I just took a step.
Zach Randolph is not going to move me for no reason.
He probably still will.
Yeah, he will. Zach, come on up.
Bro, I'm about to bust his ass straight up.
No.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know how therapy can kind of feel like a big investment, time, money, effort, being open, available emotionally, but it's like anything else. It's like if you go to a gym, if you exercise, if you eat decently, it's basically just like the gym, but for your mental and emotional health. Let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Again, this is like a broken record. This whole thing should just be me saying betterhelp.com/Neal. Instead, I'll tell you about the years of therapy I've gone to, and that I'm back in therapy, and that it's helping. It's more, well, it's couples therapy, but like regular therapy too. I'm not talking about trauma. I'm sort of done talking about my family at this point. It's just more for personal upkeep on my habits. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. Here's the call to action. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/Neal today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/NEAL. 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/Neal. I care about eating well. That's why I only do one sugar day a week. You know, I'm vegan sometimes, vegetarian. Nutrient-dense meals are vital to your health, but like food doesn't have to be boring. That's how I judge restaurants. It's like a lot of vegan places feel like punishment. I don't want to be punished. I just want to eat decent food. And then CookUnity came on as a sponsor, and I've been getting their stuff, and it's so good. Like, I've been getting this shepherd's pie that's so goddamn good. There's a pasta. There's they have Impossible Burgers. It's great. CookUnity has fresh flavors for every diet, including keto, gluten-free, and GLP-1 balanced. All-star chefs craft each meal with local in-season ingredients that are high in fiber, protein, and unsaturated fats. Crush your weight goals with meals crafted to be nutrient-dense and delicious from CookUnity. Sent fresh, not frozen, and delivered directly to your door, all at a fraction of the usual cost and time. Go to cookunity.com/NEAL or enter code NEAL before checkout for 50% off your first week. Again, I've been doing it. It's excellent. It's literally excellent. I didn't even use my own promo code the first week. That's how excited I am about this. And then I got to use it. It was fantastic. It's just delicious. It's also the right amount, because sometimes I'll cook for myself. I got an air fryer, pretty exciting. I didn't tell you guys about it, but I got an air fryer. It's pretty exciting, but I overcook food, and then I feel like I have to eat it all because I have guilt issues, and then I get a weight I don't want to be. Then I got to whatever. You don't want you wouldn't last a day in this mental process. Yeah, like I said, I got shepherd's pie. I got Impossible burrito. I think I got some cacio pepe pasta. It's the right amount. They tell you how many calories it is. It's the right price. It's delivered to your door. You don't have to think about it. You can stick it in the fridge. Eat it that week. You can sit in the freezer, eat it later. And like I said, they have a bunch of chefs, and that each chef makes a few things, and they contribute, and then you order from that chef, specifically different recipes, different dietary needs. It's a great system. It's the best food thing I've ever certainly done. I used to do a vegan one, and they would just send you like vats of crap, and it was like, it felt like punishment, which I don't like. Menus are updated weekly, and new chefs are always joining the team, so mealtime will never be boring. Yeah, you just heat it up, 5 minutes, flexible, commitment-free subscriptions. You can skip deliveries, pause, or cancel anytime. You can just do it for a week. You can do it for a month. You can do whatever. You can order 4 meals. You can order 10. Subscriptions start at as low as $11 a meal. Here's the call to action. Crush your health goals with mouth-watering, chef-crafted meals delivered straight to your door. Go to cookunity.com/NEAL or enter code NEAL before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code NEAL or going to cookunity.com/NEAL. CookUnity. Legit. You talked about coaching. Somebody, somebody you played with was talking about toward the end of the Clippers, and there was some story about you kind of telling Doc, like, fuck that. And I was like, I don't know if it's a true story or whatever, but like, were there times where you weren't real coachable that you wish you, like, looking back, you're like, Yeah,
there's definitely, I mean, there's just regrets like anybody has, right? Like there's times where I probably maybe didn't, and especially in the heat of the moment, like I maybe didn't react the right way, or I said the wrong thing. That story, I'm not even touch
fine. I don't even know
story.
what it was. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, especially when I was younger, like I sometimes though do wish that like coaches, or some of the coaches maybe that I had, like they just like took the time to understand guys' different ways they tick and way they work. That was sort of the disconnect for me sometimes, but then 100% some of that was my fault.
What was your fault?
Like the way I would react to something, like just my competitiveness was just like wouldn't allow me to like concede something, or just like especially like
that's one of his blocks, by the way, competitiveness.
Yeah.
He's too competitive. Sue him. What are you going to do, guys? It worked for a long time. Now he doesn't need. Well, now he's going to be competitive with Dirk Nowitzki at Talking
on Amazon Prime.
Ding! I don't even know what their thing is. Well, they'll figure out a ding.
Maybe we'll edit that in.
We'll add that in. You'll go ahead. I'm going to need you to add that in. A lot of text.
Contractually, I'm going to need you to put that in.
Red Lobster.
But so you see it as like the worst of your, like, shit. I wish I'd been more understanding or more.
Yeah, for sure. It's not something I really like dwell on. Like, I'm not like, God, I ruined everything. I just wish, there's I'm sure every single person can look towards a situation and be like, I could have handled that better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Is there such a thing as being too competitive as a player in a game?
Yeah. I think you can sort of get into this like competitive matchup with your matchup, you know, where you're just like, I gotta beat this guy, and then sometimes that's to the detriment of the team.
Yeah.
Right? Like you always have to keep the team or the main goal, which is obviously winning, in mind, and sometimes I would get into that, you know, and it's you just sort of get lost in it. It's not like this. You're not like consciously making this decision like screw this win. I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
You're just like it's a thing, and especially when somebody starts talking shit to you, you're like, oh, I gotta go at him. I gotta be tough, and that can be obviously detrimental. The competitiveness, like being your downfall sometimes is just like doing too much, trying to do too much, trying to take on too much by yourself can obviously be detrimental. So competitiveness is like a very important thing, but it also needs to be finely tuned.
How? Other than just like
being better, making more shots. Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure that spirit made you score 40 in a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, or would you consider those your best performances free of that?
Yeah, because my best performances were always just flowing. Like, you know, they talk about getting to that like state, right? Like that's how it feels. It truly feels like you're just like it's slow motion. You're just doing like you're
going through all these things that you've worked on thousands and thousands of hours.
And when you think too much, I always found it was because I was like I wanted this so badly. Like I wanted to do this. I wanted to score this. I wanted to accomplish whatever thing, that goal I had set out for. And when I just let the game come to me, which is a very hard thing to do, to just relax.
Yeah.
And over time, as I got older, it was much easier. But early on, you know, you're always pressing, for sure.
And it almost never works.
It can work just because like we're all so like this is our job. Like everybody's very skilled at this sport, so like it can work, but it would be easier and it would go a lot further if you just kind of like let games come to you. And it's hard. It's easy for me to say as like somebody at that point in my career who's playing 38 minutes a game and I got to shoot, you know, whenever I want. It's hard for guys who are coming off the bench and, you know, they have 4-minute span to really show that they're contributing to this game or helping or being an asset, and it's hard for those guys. Like I felt that towards the end of my career, like when I would come off the bench, like all right, I got to get in here and I got to do well in these first like 5 minutes, or like there's a chance I don't play again. But I also kind of loved that challenge too. It was a game within. Was it
a mindset shift?
A little bit.
Or like, is it just do the thing you used to do over 40 minutes, but do it in 4?
Yes. Well, no, I guess not.
Which is it? I'm kidding. You're never going to make it on Amazon.
Sorry, I was distracted by there's something
fuzz?
on the mic,
sorry,
and
Mr.
like
Griffin.
ask me that again, and I'll give you a real cool Amazon answer.
Yeah, no, I can assume that it would be like that would be a fun challenge, but also like it's a bit like you have one scene.
Yeah,
you can tell guys in one scene that try to like they are in a totally different tone than the person they're in a scene with.
Yeah,
and it's like you got to chill out, man.
Yeah.
We're all doing a different tone, but I guess if you got to do it, you got to do it, or you change your identity of like to be a scrappy.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I did towards the end of my career, especially with Boston. It was just like, hey, like go in, rebound, you know, hustle, dive on the floor, set a screen, you know, hit an open shot. But like I wasn't going like down the court and like, all right, get out of the way. Here we go. Step back. You know, that was just like not the same.
People don't want that. Ain't who you are no more.
That's not what the folks in Boston wanted. I actually took a survey.
And what do you make of the relationships you had that you were like that were like you and Chris were a little testy, and looking back, is it like, fuck, I wish I could? Are there relationships like that where you wish you could approach it differently, knowing what you know now, or if there was a different approach? And I don't even calling a little testy may be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I truly think you would say the same thing. Like I think people outside tried to make that much more of a thing.
Yeah. But even them making it a thing kind of makes it a thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who leaked what.
Yeah.
Or who, and it's all outside shit. But
like,
we did some great sketches together. Me, Blake, and Chris. We legit.
BGCP3,
not my name.
TV in HD.
I can't even talk about it.
You think it's fun being friends with Mello? Mello is short for Carmelo.
You guys really know Mello?
I mean, he's older than me, so we've never really played on the same team. So like, he seems like nice.
Yeah, it's like you did get along.
Yeah.
So it was when I'd hear that you weren't getting along, it was kind of, I didn't understand it.
Yeah. I honestly didn't understand how it like continually, like how that became sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I think, and we like some of the guys that have been on the team, like we talk about it all the time. Like our team was like under like a crazy microscope. It was like, it was high stress.
What does this mean for Blake Griffin, who's also a free agent?
Blake Griffin is prepared to give up $45 million of guaranteed money.
He's behind the pack. And here's Blake. Leaks out. Look out. For Griffin. The toe.
High
did
stress.
It add to the stress?
What's
like
that?
Because it was like top tier team level of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was something a little extra to the Clipper coverage. And that was hard. It was like more Hollywood. I don't know what the energy was.
I think we were just like not a team that was like easy to root for. You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah, a lot of
I would complain to refs.
Griffin yelling at Ed Malloy. He's got to be careful.
CP, like we had a bunch of guys who
JJ.
just like, you know, were just like,
mouthy.
I don't know that we're like, also JJ, like coming from Duke. Like,
yeah.
He's like a Duke guy. People just automatically, for some reason, hate Duke guys.
Yep.
Like, we just like, and some of it was on us. Like, we put that on ourselves. But I wouldn't even put JJ in that category of like not easy to root for. It was just like, I brought that a lot of that on myself. And I truly think like a lot of that, like sometimes like my arguments with refs was like out of just like frustration and competitiveness and something else combined, where I was just like
you didn't even know what was.
No. I knew what I was doing, obviously, but it was just like I was just like, what? Like, what? And then sometimes after the game, I'm like, oof, that was bad. I wasn't even close. He was
like,
right.
Oh
you know?
yeah.
It's just like the heat of the moment. Like, it's hard not to. For me,
in the NBA, can you see the ref in the next game and be like, hey, I was fucking dead
for sure.
wrong.
Yeah. For sure. And I would try to make it a point to do that. Like if I was ever like clearly wrong, or like the next game's the next game. And I think like the refs are so good about like, or most of them are so good about, hey, all good, we're good. You know, you go up to them the next game, hey, what's up, man? Joke with them for a second, you move on. But yeah, like there's just like anything else. Like I said earlier, I mean, there's times where I was like, probably should have left the ref alone on that one.
Yeah, and you think it was just the stress of like, we have a lot of nationally televised games.
There's a lot of people that are counting on us right now. It was that. It was like also competitiveness. It was also just
Adam
like
Devine has season tickets.
Do you not see Billy Crystal? He's right there. Some of it was just immaturity too on my part. Like I just didn't know how to like navigate talking to a ref yet.
What's the right way to do it? Is there a right way to do it?
Yeah, you give them a break on little things, and then you maybe wait till maybe wait till the next play's over, dead ball, whatever. Go up to them, hey, you just do me a favor, just watch that. Or you go up and they made a call that you thought was wrong. Like, there's no way. Or just like have that like one-on-one conversation. They don't want to be yelled at in front of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like we don't want to be yelled at. Like nobody wants to be yelled at. And that's what I got better at as I got older. But still, there's moments where even when I was older, I'd like be like, what do you do?
Now Blake says, hey, he grabbed me. He interlocked with me. And he goes to the official, JT Orr, and he has proof on a little iPad there.
And some of that is showmanship, and some of that is like you're trying to kind of like jockey a little bit for position, and you're trying to. But I definitely took it overboard sometimes. So and all the refs out there, very
guys,
sorry.
Okay, so and so you feel like some of it was just like unavoidable immaturity because you are 20 something.
Yeah, for like the height of our Clippers days, I was 21 to 27.
Yeah, it's not very old.
No. Yeah, that was like the Clippers team, and then I was in Detroit at like 28.
Yeah,
like
still
that's
not
when
old.
And then like by the time I was 32, I was like the elder statesman. I was just
Yeah.
like so old.
And do you look at guy? And yeah, I guess if a guy says, "I looked up to you when I was 9."
I mean, my rookie year I was 20, right? So
yeah,
I played 14 years. So 14 years later, my last season, when I was playing my rookie year, a rookie who was 19 was 5 years old.
Yeah,
like it's like it's hard to like think about like when you're in the moment, but then like some conversation, like I said, like hits you, and you're just like, oh, wow,
yeah,
this is crazy.
So, but for the most part, you're like, you think you handled the whole thing well. Was there anything physically you could have done differently?
I mean, I think like as treatment and sports physio advances, like, yeah, sure now, but back then I was doing everything that I like the leading research. I was doing everything that I possibly could physically to keep going and to take care of my body. I mean, I've had 9 surgeries, and like to me, I'm like, I had 9 surgeries and I played 14 years.
Like,
weird.
He'll just bring that up sometimes apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
He'll be like, they'll go, "Can I get your order?" And I'll go, "I've had 9 surgeries."
I'll take the number 9, and also funny about the number 9.
Anyhow,
my thing.
Look at it, and he'll lift his shirt up at a restaurant.
No, get in here. Look at this.
Yeah, it's like it's off-putting.
I got scars, physical and emotional.
Well, okay, and how did you find? So it's a high stress job. Mm-hmm. Would you say it's a high stress job?
Yeah. I mean,
yes, with the caveats of like it's
there's
not life
real
or death.
high stress
Yeah.
jobs. Like I said, it's a game. But yeah, it is stressful to like if you have a bad game to hear everybody talk about it for a long, long time.
Well, it's funny. Does it inflate your ego in a way that makes it easier to pop? Do you know what I mean? Like the more praise you get, the more praise you're used to getting, and then any sort of I remember Malcolm Gladwell did a study, and I think I told you about it, where all the guys that were getting technicals were max players. It's all based on like off the court, these guys get they don't get any fouls called on them. Like interpersonally on the street, nothing. They can't. So when you get called a foul, it's like more. It's
me. I'm sorry. Do you know who you're talking to?
Basically,
yeah. Like, I mean, it's a great point. I think like the more inflated and the easier it is to inflate that ego, the easier it is. Like where like one small thing can be like what?
Yeah, total humiliation.
Yeah. I honestly have never thought about it like that, but yeah, 100%. I think that's 100% right.
And did it? Your parents were always. Your parents are super regular.
Very, very regular, painfully regular. I'm just like, guys, what do you? My parent, like, my mom drives a Nissan Pathfinder. I don't know what kind of car it is, but they're just like, and I love them.
You
don't
even
much
keep
for
up
that.
with the Nissans anymore. You're so out of it.
Listen, they went Kia, and then after Kia,
and after that, you have a guy who takes care of it. You just, it's like, is that a Bentley or something?
People still driving? Interesting.
Huh. They're by them, like they grip the wheel and do all that.
Oh.
Turning signals.
I thought it was just green screen that whole time.
Wow. Yeah, like your parents' day, is your brother's regular?
Mm-hmm. My brother was like the person that always kind of like, if I really like did some where I messed up, like in a game or whatever, if I got that call from my brother and he's like, that wasn't it. Like that one hurt the most out of any, like that conversation always hurt.
Would you argue your case?
No. Well, no.
You just knew.
No, I was just. By the way, most of the time I usually already knew that I was wrong. Like immediately after a game, if I like got a crucial tech or I did this or did that, like right away.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't like walking away being like, "Dang, can you believe that?"
Yeah.
I told him to F off. I was like that. Yeah, I probably should have. But in the heat of the moment, I was like 2 very different people on the court and off. Very different people. Like so intense on the court and so like competitive, and off the court, I'm much, much more laid back.
What do you think the worst thing someone could say about you as a player, and they'd be right about?
Wow.
Not even talking about like style of play.
Oh, like style of play?
Well, just like he's got whatever. Not the scouting report, just of like Blake's an asshole.
Be true. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me at all.
You assume like you kind of want him to think you're an asshole? Back then, I'm not saying now, but
in a way, like I never was out like to like be like friendly with guys on the other team. Not really. Like if there was somebody I knew, like great, we're friends. But like during the game, like fuck you. We're doesn't matter. Ex-teammate, person I've known for 10, 12 years, doesn't matter. Like you're on the other team, you're on the other team. Like I'm not like clearly I'm not going out to like hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But like we're not cool during this game. Then after the game we can be cool, but during this game we're not cool.
How about timeouts? Okay.
Halftime. I'll meet you in the I'll meet you in the hallway.
Yeah,
Talk.
you want to split a popcorn?
Kids good and everything. That's the horn.
All right.
Fuck you, dude.
You fuck motherfucker. You don't fuck your kids. That's interesting. I've never heard you express it. That's fun.
It is fun.
What about those like? Wasn't there a fight? What was that famous story of like? Is there anything you haven't talked about? And wasn't there a thing where like Houston was outside the locker room, or Chris was involved, or
actually outside of their team bus there is a police presence.
Two guys who would relish guys coming in their locker room.
Come on, man.
Are laughing at the fact
Jack,
that Chris Paul
police
is coming to get the police to get Blake Griffin.
It was more so two other people, one of my teammates and somebody else on the other team, and I guess one of them I had gotten kicked out of the game.
Okay.
So now we've got some Paul and Griffin words.
Looked like there was an elbow there at the end of that play there from Blake.
So
yeah,
I only got kicked out like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
This was one of them.
Great.
And then I wasn't on the court. It was at the end of the game, and somebody said something to somebody else, and then that guy tried to come into our locker room, which was like it was the most classic NBA like scuffle where it was just like a bunch of guys on this side and a bunch of guys on this side, and everybody's like, "What?
Yeah.
You know, no one's doing anything.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was just like I was kind of in the back, like just kind of like looking the whole time. And then like, of course, like the media got a hold of it. And then somebody's like, the police were called.
Yeah.
And the TNT guys were like, acting like I was the one that called the police. So then people thought I actually called the police when it was like nothing. And so like that's how those like things get blown so far out of proportion. Okay.
Now that you're an announcer, I heard you say something about like you'll try to be fair, but like pro player overall.
Yeah, I don't think it's my job to like go just bash players. Like if a player has a bad game, like let's look at it. Like, was he playing the way he was supposed to play? Was he playing within himself? Was he just missing shots? Like I think most real fans who really know the game can watch a guy play and have a bad game and they're like, yeah, he's had a bad game.
Yeah.
Missed some shots. Like that happens.
Yeah.
Now if you're dogging it, you're not playing hard, you're being detrimental to your team. Like, yeah, I think that's fair criticism, right? Like, so I think some people, and I think a lot of times what guys are a little unhappy with is just like that unfair criticism just to be critical. Like it's lazy from an analytic standpoint, and
it's incredibly dishonest too, because it's just like, you know that this is part of a cycle.
Yeah.
And that they'll score 31 the next game.
And yeah, so my goal is that, but also being like giving analysis, like real analysis, like give insight into
Well, you know what's funny about analysis? The fact that like All the Smoke or even Stephen A or any of these guys, JJ and LeBron had a podcast where it was all X's and O's, and it was kind of popular. Yeah. Meaning it wasn't like a runaway hit. It's great.
If you really love basketball,
right.
It was
but
like,
people don't really love basketball. They just want to hear.
They want the drama. They want all the,
Yeah, like, so they, as much as people say, like, I love the sport and it's like, no, you're not, because you literally didn't look at it.
Yeah.
You don't care about most of the shit.
Yeah. I do think that there's a place for some of that.
Sure.
Like I'm not saying like the whole halftime show should be like a breakdown where I'm like the Miami Heat are switching pin downs. So when Tyler Hero comes off, if he's not shooting the gap, you got to come over and you got to switch from underneath and make sure that low man rotates. Like I'm not, no one's understanding that, right? Like that's a different language.
They kind of claim, they think they do in the NFL though, right?
By the way, I have like buddies who like, they're like, they're really blocking the A gap. They're in a nickel dime front, 42 butt, and they're like, dude, well, this is so far above our heads. Like what these guys are talking about, and like the game prep and all that, it's so far above most people's heads. And I give some people credit; they really do know the sport, but when it really comes down to professional sports, guys are speaking different languages.
Yeah, I watched the game with you once. We watched Summer League for 15 seconds, and I had no idea what you're talking about. Literally no. I'm like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
I have a buddy who's I have several buddies who are
another thing he
players.
brags about. I got buddies. I've had 7 surgeries. Go ahead.
9 surgeries.
9 surgeries. Sorry.
9 surgeries, 7 buddies.
Whoa.
Played in the NFL for years, and like I ask questions because I want to hear them speak that language. No clue what they're talking about.
Glaze over.
No clue what they're talking about. Like all the different things that each position is thinking about and having to do, and this and that. And you're also trying to think ahead. You're thinking about what they did prior. There's so many different things that go into it, and it's so funny just because you see, especially like fantasy football owners are like, "Oh, come on!" Like, and there's so many more things happening, and you're just kind of like, you don't think that guy wanted to catch that touchdown pass?
I'm not sure.
He wanted to so much more than
you could ever do.
And it's like there's certain times where a guy makes a really dumb play and you can be like, oof, what was that? Like that was awful. But then there's times where it's like a guy misses a ball that was thrown 75 yards and he tried to get a hand on it and he couldn't, and it's just like it's like, I don't know.
Hey, Blocks listeners, we've got a quick favor to ask. We often do ad reads on the show and want to make sure we're recommending brands that you like, and we want to take in feedback about past brands we featured on the show and learn more about your experiences so we can continue strengthening our relationship. That's what this is, a relationship. So we set up a quick survey and are going to give one lucky listener or viewer an $150 Amazon gift card. It'll take just a few minutes to fill out the survey and will be of enormous help. Go to surveymonkey.com/r/blocks-podcast or click the link in the description, fill out a survey, and enter your email address for a chance to win a $150 Amazon gift card. Again, click the link in the description, enter your email, and complete the survey for a chance to win a gift card. Thanks for all you do to support the podcast. I appreciate it legitimately. I just want to make sure I'm not doing ads for something you're never going to use. It's a waste of both of our times, and I don't want to rip the company off. Let's make this beneficial. Okay. Visit Huel.com/NEAL today to get 50% off your first order plus a free gift. Okay, so I don't always like having to eat, especially lunch. I just don't want to sit and go and get a thing, and sometimes I do, but other times I'm just like, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and get a quick drink. And Huel, H-U-E, like fuel but with an H, is great. It's got all the vitamins, nutrients, protein, fiber, all the stuff you need in each serving. I like vanilla. Truthfully, I take a vanilla, I drink some, I pour a little bit of chocolate in it. So it's not. Vanilla's a great flavor though, and it takes. I'm full for 5 hours. Like I don't eat a ton anyway, but it's got the protein, it's got vitamin C, which supports your immune system. It's very convenient. They'll send you a box. You just grab it and crack it. Cheaper than coffee. When you think about what you're spending on takeout or meal deals, it's a no-brainer. And it tastes. They say decent. I think it tastes good. And you can soup it up however you want. If you want it to be more of a smoothie, you can pour it in a blender, throw ice, whatever. You can add whatever else you want. It's a great smoothie base, or it's its own drink. The Black Edition ready-to-drink meal is a meal in a bottle. One bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and is low in sugar. Huel is perfectly balanced meal designed by nutrition experts and takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's convenient, tastes good, they're low in sugar, they're affordable. I don't know what it ends up being, like just under $5 a bottle, which sounds like everything's expensive now, so $5 a bottle is not a problem. It's going to save you time and money, and I'm telling you, it's good. And if you want to add other stuff, fruit, vegetables, ice, whatever, you want to add meat, hit it. You want to add more protein, you want to add whatever you want to do. Knock yourself out. You have my permission. New customers visit huel.com/NEAL today and use my code NEAL to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Legit good. You've seen me drink it on the show. Like, it's great. Huel.com/NEAL. Enjoy it. So let's say Luka is not in good physical shape, right? Let's say all the stuff they said about him is true. Can a guy be in medium shape and have a 12-year first-team All-NBA career?
Absolutely, if you're talented enough.
You think so? It really is just like, oh, if you're talented, you can. None of it matters.
Are you saying like all NBA, like all every year,
around as good as he's been? Because
Luke is so good. I don't think he's in like could he be in better shape? Yes, but
there's certain guys who are never going to look like they're in good shape.
Right. That's what I mean. Like he's just not a guy who's just going to be like ripped and like it's not him.
Yeah.
It's also not his game either. He's so big and he uses his body so well that like I don't know. I would be if I was the GM or the coach or whatever of his team. I would be like, well, you're just keeping him healthy,
right?
Keeping him healthy. And I don't know the inner workings of like what was happening in Dallas, but clearly there was some disconnect. But yes, like I wouldn't say like when you say medium shape, like I don't know what I guess medium shape means.
Well, what would you call it? What's Jokic? What kind of shape is Jokic in?
For Jokic, like when Jokic came in to now, or like especially like championship season, like he's in good shape.
But he doesn't have the kind of body that looks like he's in good shape. But you can tell as someone who's had to guard him or been guarded by him, like one of these things like where you're out of breath and you're like, he's in pretty good shape.
Oh no, guys! You guys are actually all wrong. This guy's running circles around me. Yes, he's in good shape. He's just not. He just doesn't have that body that's ever going to look like he's in. Like,
I think what we're saying is white. I think we're just saying these guys are just white, and that's terminal.
Like Zach Randolph's a good example. Like he was so strong, like,
right?
And he like was like a little bit bigger, but like you just have to get guys to like what they feel best at, like what weight or you just have to get them to put themselves in the best position to be successful, and like that looks different for everybody. Like it can't be like a one size fits all. So Luka, like when it comes to, I don't know that it was as much about him being like in shape, like looking like he's in shape. It wasn't really about that, I don't think. I think it was maybe it's had to be something more than that, because who cares how a guy looks? The guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's 25 years old and he's averaging 27,
forever,
8 or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what it is, but like I don't know. I would think it has to be something other than that. Would I have made that trade? Absolutely not. Well, if I was the Lakers, absolutely. But I don't know. I mean, yes, I think he's in okay shape. That's not really. I'm not trying to diss him at all.
No.
I think he's in the type of shape that he needs to be to play that way. That's how I would put it.
And do you care about longevity?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you're a team, you care about longevity, because if you're gonna sign him to a 5-year deal, like or anybody to a 5-year deal, you want them to be able to play.
Well, okay, let's say you're the GM. Let's say you're the Rob Pelinka, which I know you love his jackets.
Oh,
so his hair, his jackets,
the tan,
to have a press conference,
the biblical references.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert, and all of a sudden, bread came down from heaven. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what today feels like for us, to have KCP join.
To wear a leather jacket unzipped with the sleeves up, and it's unzipped from the bottom for a huge press conference. Mm-hmm. What a bold statement.
I always just think about, like, you get a little sweaty and you got to pull that jacket back down.
What would you say to Luka about his physical shape? But you know what I mean? Like, as a guy who's a mentor now, you open with empathy. We all know that. You say, I love donuts and crullers as much as anybody.
Hey, Where'd I go last night? Cold Stone Creamery.
That's me.
That's me, dude. We're not so different, you and I.
But honestly, how would you manage something like that?
If I was a GM,
if you're the GM, like
well, first
or
of all,
even JJ
first of all,
or
you
whoever.
have so many different he does his physical assessment with the training staff. Every team has a sports scientist. They have strength and conditioning coaches. You do a full assessment. You work on this, and this. But also, when you're a guy like Luka, like he can just be like, "I'm good." And
I'm not going to talk to your assessment people.
I mean, I think he would talk to him, but he could just be like, "No,
from
I'm okay.
a distance."
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, I don't want to do like I've seen that happen. That happens all the time in the NBA. Like
guys just go.
I've had teammates who are like, I'm not lifting weights. I'm not lifting, or maybe they'll compromise and do like 2 or 3 exercises that are pretty easy, and that just works for them. I had a teammate who like never touched weights, and he played for a long, long time, and he's really, really good. And like some guys don't, some guys do, and like the team has to kind of figure out how to like best work with a guy's preferences or routines when they're young. You know, rookies come in, you got to do all this stuff. But as guys get older and if they're still in the NBA, say after 7 years, like they know what they're doing. They know their bodies. They know how to like, you know, perform, and they know how to be a pro. And you get a lot more lenience that way.
And is it when guys have their own fitness team and their own all that stuff? Do you think that there is going to be a natural tension between the team and him? Because there's this shit like Kawhi and all that stuff where it's like, we want you to play, we want you to sit, you're not ready, hurry up.
Yeah, it can. I mean, a lot of it depends on your trainers with the team, and it depends on your personal trainer. Like I had a personal trainer who was super close with like all the trainers on each team that I was on. He's just a good dude. He knows his stuff. He doesn't overstep his boundaries. He's respectful, and he's not like, hey, it's this way or no.
Yeah,
you know, he's collaborative, right? Like I had a personal trainer because it wasn't because the team wasn't good. I would use those guys. But then I would also want somebody like at night when I'm watching games, like the night before a game or any time, he'd come over and he'd work on me. We'd do some exercises, 45 minutes to an hour at night, and like that gave me what I felt like was an edge. So
like more like literally stretches and whatever.
Yeah, body work stuff, making sure nothing's tight, making sure every joint is moving correctly. correctly. Or I have the right range of motion, or if I have like a little nagging injury, to do extra, exercises to like strengthen that or to help that. Like that's why I had a personal trainer. So kind of depends on the guy. Some guys have an all-encompassing personal trainer. They don't use the team guys. And as long as they're healthy, as long as they're good, and as long as they show up and perform, like I don't think teams truly care that much. I think maybe the training staff is kind of
what can you do if he's not performing though? Because that would be then
you have a talk. You're like, hey, we think you need to be. We need to have you do this, or you need to be in better shape, or you need to get more work in here, like that. And so that's what I mean when you're a GM. Like you use kind of all those services that teams provide. And if Luka comes to the Lakers and they're like, all right, we'd like to get him at this body fat percentage, or we'd like to get him his cardio a little bit better, that they could try. But guys that are playing that many minutes, like you can't work them that much in season, like you just can't. So like maybe in the off season they put together a program, maybe they send a guy out with him when he goes back home, something like that. But like in the season, like guys playing 38 minutes a night. Like, what you want him to get extra cardio in on the off days? It's not realistic, and it's not really reasonable for his game as well.
And so there are guys that are not in. They can't bench. They're not. But it doesn't matter
as long as you can put that ball in the hoop or do exactly what.
Could someone play power forward and be like that? Were there times where you're like,
now
I gotta lift more? Were there times where there were challenges or like a sequence where you're like, fuck, that guy's so much stronger than me?
There was only a couple guys that I was like, and those guys were just freaks, like absolute freaks, like just strong. My issue was never like not lifting enough. I lifted, I did all that stuff. I just think as long as you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, like however you get to it. Now a team that absolutely does have an effect on, like, if a team's going to give you a 5-year contract, right? If you don't take care of yourself the right way, or you don't eat right, you're kind of a mess. Like, a team's not going to like invest 5 years in you. So that's where it can hurt. But like, if you're just like a guy who's, getting 2-year deal, 3-year deal, whatever it is, like, I think teams are more willing to just be like, hey, you get there however you get there. We will have certain things that you need to do, but my lifts are going to be different than somebody else's lifts, and each one is tailored to like that player and what they prefer.
You were the first person to tell me about, or maybe I asked you about sports psychologists, and you told me about yours, and there was a book I read called, I think, 10-Minute Toughness. But you were you're very big on positive visualization.
Yes.
Tell people about that. Because even I remember saying, like you said, no, like anything I do on the court, I've already seen it in a split second before I do it.
Yeah, and part of that is having done these things over and over again, but also part of that, like, one of my pregame routines was I would sit and I would just, like, I would go through, like, what I would call, like, a highlight reel of what I wanted to do that game. And I would start with the jump ball. I would literally just close my eyes and I would start with, like, a jump ball. I would see myself.
Were you in the jump ball?
No, because I was
So
always.
you do visualizations about other people. I think it's called prayer.
I'm like, oh, good shot, dude. Wow, that was really nice. I'm on the bench the whole time. Man, this is cool. But I had my same spot during the jump ball every time. So I would start there, and like I see myself like getting down. I see going down for the first offensive possession. I know what the first play is already because we walked through it in shoot around earlier. I know defensively like what my assignments are. So I'm walking through like how I'm going to guard a pick and roll, how I'm going to step out and give a little help on a pin away. I'm pulling over. I'm doing this stuff on the offensive end. I'm catching in post. I'm facing out, pump fake, right, pump fake.
Are
shot.
you imagining what it would feel like emotionally, or you're picturing it third person?
I'm picturing myself do it
from like
from my perspective,
from your first person.
Perspective.
Got it. And is it about? Are you keyed into how it'll feel physically, or you're keyed into like?
I just want to see myself do it the way I want. I want to do it. Like I see myself facing up, catching, jab step, pump fake. He goes for it. One dribble, get to the rim. 2 dribbles, hook shot. 1 dribble, kick out to the corner, spin back off the glass. Like you see all that. Like, you know your game. I see a pick and pop. I see an elbow, like a mid-range jumper. I see a nice pass. I see you just like I try to like go through all that stuff, and not every game was the same. And like that's the beauty of like visualization is like if we're on the road and we're playing in Phoenix, like I can see the arena. You see, like there's certain things that, like so you're really putting yourself in those
Google
situations.
Maps right there. Thank you, Google Maps.
Got it all right here.
And
I'd go on Ticketmaster, really map out the arena.
That's what I mean. Like how many would you picture empty seats? Like
no,
third level.
And it's, by the way, it's also when I would envision it, it's also like a little bit blurry. Like everything out here is blurry. Like,
bokeh.
It's just
I believe it's called bokeh.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, when the background's blurry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Director
yeah,
Neal Brennan here.
Anamorphic, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And
sun flare. Sorry.
Yeah. Not good. Lens flare. Lens flare. Great.
Lens flare. Ah, shoot.
Did you ever not do it? And was there a difference, or was it just like a thing you started in high school, college? And then would it ever be like spooky, like a deja vu, where like that's exactly what I thought was going to happen?
Sure. There were some times when it like worked out exactly how I thought it was going to happen. I think I started doing this in the NBA. I didn't do it in college. But you also like I have a pretty crazy imagination. So like when you're doing stuff like when you're working out or you just go in the gym and you're shooting by yourself, I do that at night all the time. You're envisioning all these things, right? Like I would just like I would play through like you in your mind. You're not like 5, 4.
Yeah.
But you're just like like what you're supposed to be doing and you envision like a defense, right? Like you have to get creative a little bit sometimes, like in order to like keep progressing your game.
And did you do it when you were like bench guy?
Yeah. Just like the whole game. It's like, man, that visualization was tough.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to sit. I'm going to be on my left butt cheek.
Time out. He gets up. He goes and high fives everybody. Standing behind the coach during the timeout, looking in the crowd.
Yeah. Look up the jumbotron. Look at are they running a kiss cam? Okay, that's fun. That's very entertaining. Nice. I got a big kick out of that.
That was actually real nice.
Yeah, you know what? But
kudos to the in arena entertainment.
That's good to ask questions about other guys on the team. That's real creative. Did you? But so you think it had a big effect on the outcomes? Because I started doing it. I've stopped. I just forgot to do it. But no, I would actually write. I started just writing out my act, and if I do a TV appearance, I would write it out and try to imagine what it would be like in each beat of the thing. And you can actually write new things in it.
Like you would write out your script, what you were.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was just a bit I had already done on stage, but it was it is a helpful way to prep.
That's
just any kind of prep is worthwhile.
Just just thinking about it, and the visualization, I don't want to make it sound like I'm sitting there for 45. It took 2 minutes. I'm just seeing high level 20 things that I want to do.
Yeah,
and you're done. Easy.
Aspirational.
Aspirational, and it's. Well, you know what's crazy? A couple times, I would see myself pick and pop, catch a three and shoot it, and it would miss. I would and I think that was just my mind being okay,
being funny.
I'll just be okay, we've got to do that again.
That's stupid.
I'm telling you, it was such a weird thing that I would do sometimes if I kind of lost focus. I could see myself miss, and I would have to kind of go back and do it again. It was fascinating.
What about? Would you do it in game? Meaning you get the ball. Was it just instinct, or was it
No, in game, I'm not visualizing anything. I might be thinking to myself all right, I just got him. I just caught the ball in the post, faced up, and shot and made one. So now I just know, and this is kind of just in the back of your mind. Now I just know. I'm going to catch and I'm going to turn it same way, and I'm going to do it a little bit quicker, and I'm going to give a nice pump fake, and he's probably going to fly. But then you also know if he doesn't, now what do you do? And so those are all things that you work on physically.
Yeah.
So there's a thinking component to it, but you're just playing little not mind games, but you're just
you're gaming shit out.
Yes.
And is it just if I there's no one on help, someone will probably come and help D.
Yeah, a lot of
times.
And
then I'm good. I'm about to score.
Or you're talking to your teammate and you're hey, somebody just threw it to me in the post, and I just 1-2 dribble back down and finished. Now I know they're probably going to send help, or maybe I just scored 2 in a row in the post. They're going to send help, and you go to a teammate and you're hey, be ready. They're going to double from, typically they double from the passer, they double from opposite block, whatever they do. And so now you boom, and you sort of bait them. They come, and then you make the play that you want to make. It's not always about scoring too. You know what I mean? You have to sort of think about all that.
But it's mostly about scoring. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
I was never known for my passing.
No one ever got pussy off of assists. Am I right?
John Stockton, actually.
Actually, you know what?
See your,
a rare P word drop from me on the podcast. We like to keep it a little clean. Oh, we never talked about your general racial ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's racial ambiguity. We never talked about that as a block.
The table's it's hard to write. There's it's
I thought you were going to say it's your complexion.
I wish.
I mean,
smoky walnut.
Fuck.
Can you imagine?
This
economy having a smoky walnut.
I wouldn't be here. I'll tell you that much. That's got to be something that's pretty resolved at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it now. But earlier on, when I was younger, I was kind of always where do I fit in?
Yeah,
I'm a little bit too. I'm definitely too white for to feel like I was or white looking, presenting to feel like I was a part of.
Well, it was interesting. You said one time players would say players in the NBA would say shit.
Yeah, little white boy sneaks. You're just all right, okay.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's kind of the same things. white people can't really say it. They can't be like, all right, black boy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's different. But, like, you just feel it from both sides.
Yeah.
And not now. And, like, not as I got older. But, like, when I was younger, for sure. Like, high school, it was definitely, like, a thing. Middle school, I think it was maybe when it became, like, a conscious thing. And then high school, like, maybe some college, like, a little bit. And then as I got into the NBA and I got older, like, that stuff, like, never fazed me. But early on, that was, like, a block for me, for sure.
Did you ever think that it, like, it probably had to help your marketability?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like
a whitish looking guy can jump like that. Sign him up.
I mean, kind of. It's like what I used to say to you and Kevin Love. If you can't get an announcing job when you retire, you have to be. I used to say retarded.
You
but
can't
like
say that anymore.
No, not anymore. Yeah, like if you can't get it, and sure enough, you got it. You landed it, buddy.
Look at me.
But yeah, so yeah, that's got to be. And that's another one of those things that you think is going to be a problem, and then like it ends up being
positive.
It's like not a. It's not
a problem at all. So it's not like this thing that I'm just like,
no.
Oh, poor me. I did.
What?
It was just like it was a thing. I thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely a thing, but it wasn't like a thing that held me back by any means. And also, sports is kind of the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Like if you can be good enough, like people don't care.
Yep. Well, guys, that's my buddy Blake Griffin. He's extremely retired, and
I mean, maybe don't say it like that.
I mean, no, there's no chance. And
what time is it? 5 o'clock? Oh, I got
you're
dinner
the only
soon. I got
like
dinner coming up.
Yeah, what time are we doing? 5:45. I got a standing reservation.
There's a really nice cafeteria down the street, Luby's Cafe. It's actually
I told you your life might actually be better retired than you're one of the few guys that like life might improve, and I don't know if it improved. Well, it's gonna be close. I mean, it seems just like all the benefits and almost no stress.
Yeah, way less stress. But physically, way less stress. Mentally, like, less stress too. I mean, it is like it is a thing where it's like, dude, you're expected to score 25. Like, for every game, you're like, I gotta go to work. Like, you have to go. You have to.
Yeah,
go
like you
produce.
can't. There's no way to cheat.
No, you can't.
Scoring 25 points. Like, they're not going to give it to you.
You can have an off night, but not for lack of effort.
Yeah.
You know, and by the way, it's not hard. You just have to give effort. But like there's days where people wake up and they're like, I don't want to do this. And like we have those as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, those are like the most important days.
Blake Griffin, ladies and gentlemen, watch him on Amazon 6 months from now. Good guy, friend of all podcasts. And maybe he does stand up sometimes. We don't know, but a good guy. I'm glad I know.
Thanks for having me, man.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Anyhow.